What up? We live. There we go. Hello. Making sure everybody can hear me. If anybody actually gets in here and joins, I don't know if anybody will or not. I'm just testing this out to see how everything goes and see how everything sounds. But hello. 'Tis Josh. Hello. And this is All Up In Us. This is the podcast, as it were. It's on the Josh Ennis Show feed. But here we go. Hopefully you guys can all hear me, and hopefully everybody's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? But anyway, hello to Sam and hello to Anthony. Hello. Thank you guys for coming in. I don't expect too many people. That isn't my anticipation. I do not anticipate too many people being in here currently. That would be my guess. My guess is that we're not going to get a ton of people in here, but we may get a ton of people in here. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But anyway, I'm glad you guys are with me today. I'm also running some audio just to try to see how everything else sounds. So I'm also trying to record this for the for podcasting purposes as well. So I'm going to see if this sounds like anything. Let's see. I heard it's cold in Detroit. Bring on the weather talk. Well, I mean, it is cold. I know you're being sarcastic. I'm well aware of your sarcasm. I can pick up on your sarcasm. But understand that it is cold as hell here. It sucks ass weather-wise here. So just so you know, it does suck ass weather-wise here. Thank you. But we'll see if anybody else joins. Again, I don't expect a lot of people because I haven't done anything on this particular channel in years and years and years. But I figured, why not? What the hell? Give it a shot and just see if anybody wants to join and hang out. But there you go. Anthony says, missed the pod the last few days. Yeah, I haven't done a ton on the pod the last couple. I was dealing with throat issues a little bit too. That's the thing. Like, I've never dealt with throat issues in the way that I've dealt with throat issues in Detroit. The weather has just wreaked havoc upon me, and I feel like shit. Like my throat has many, many issues. Like, there are times that I'm so hoarse I can't talk. So that's just something that I deal with there weather-wise. But anywho, welcome in. So let's go. Let's see. So let's start here. You've got the Texans, and the Texans had their opportunity to make it to their first AFC Championship game ever. They've had 6 previous opportunities before that. They had failed pretty epically in every other opportunity, and this one did not let down. They failed epically at this opportunity. Just the way it went. That's how they operate. That's who the Texans are. That's what they do. I really thought going into this one that they had a legit shot to win, and they did. I talked to people that have been following the team forever, people associated with the team, people that have been there since the beginning. And yeah, the Texans have been to the divisional round 6 times before this. This is the first time the Texans entered a divisional round playoff game where I legitimately felt they had a chance to win. Like, they had gone in before, and they had faced the Patriots before, and they had faced the Ravens before, and they had faced the Chiefs before. Never did they go into a second-round game where I legitimately believed the Texans had a real chance to win the game. None of the Schaub teams, the TJ Yates team, none of those teams did I believe would actually go in and have a legitimate chance of winning in the second round. This time, because of that defense, and because of the fact that, look, there's a big difference in playing Drake May. Like, if you're playing Drake May versus Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Flacco back in 2011, whoever it is you're facing in the second round, this is a different universe. This is a different team, man. Like, this is just, it's a weird. Look at the quarterbacks who are in the playoffs. Not just left in the playoffs, but look at the teams who started in the playoffs. There ain't nobody that were other than Josh Allen who you'd circle and go, that dude's a megastar. And I'm talking about even guys like Jalen Hurts, dudes who've been to 2 Super Bowls. I don't think anybody fears Jalen Hurts. They don't fear Drake May. They don't fear Bo Nix. They don't fear Jared Stidham. They don't fear any of these guys. It's a different world, man. We're operating in a different universe where quarterback play is totally different than what it used to be. So if you're the Texans going into that game with the number 1 defense in the NFL, you feel like you have a legitimate chance of going into Foxborough and winning. That's why going into that, I felt great. Like, I didn't know if they would win, but I felt good about the opportunity or the possibility that they could win, right? And that's all you're really asking for there. You feel like you could win. And then you didn't. And not only did you not win, Like, I would say you lost in epic fashion because of the way the offense played and all the turnovers. Score was closer than the game really indicated. Like, you looked at the score and you go, hell, they're in this thing into the fourth quarter. It never felt like they were in it. But the main reason you lost is because CJ Stroud sucked. Well, we talked about it earlier in the year about whether or not CJ Stroud's actually good or not. When they started out 0-3 and I started taking shit from people for those takes, and those takes also kind of were altered a little bit from people, and people attacked those takes because of the fact that they started winning a bunch of games. Remember, they were winning those games in spite of CJ Stroud. They were doing it in cases literally without CJ Stroud, and they were doing it in cases where Stroud wasn't the main reason why they were winning those games. They were winning with defense. They were taking care of the ball as much as they could, and they were beating teams in that way, right? Like, that's basically what they did. It finally came back to get them. They survived it last week because the Steelers aren't good. The Steelers offensively aren't good. They survived it. They survived poor play from CJ in that one. They couldn't survive poor play in this one because the Patriots are a better coached team with a better current quarterback than Pittsburgh has, better weapons than Pittsburgh has. They couldn't survive all the turnovers because, really, most importantly, the Patriots could match them defensively. Texans are a better defensive team, but the Patriots also didn't suck. So the Patriots were able to take care of it defensively and all that. So you get how that operates. So let's start here. Let's start with CJ Stroud. So the big question was whether or not the Texans should have considered yanking Stroud at halftime because he sucked. He turned the ball over 4 times in the first half. They were a disaster. Now, here's DeMeco Ryans talking about whether or not that thought ever crossed his mind.
No, CJ's our guy. I believe that he could come back out in the second half and flip it. I believe that he could play better.
I don't think that's unfair to think. If this is a guy that you're going to pay X millions of dollars to, hundreds of millions of dollars to be the future of your franchise, you have to at least in some way believe that the guy is going to be able to go out after a shitty first half and play a better second half, right? Like, you're not considering pulling the guy because he played like shit in a half of football unless you're not really sure that that's your guy. You need to see if he's your guy. You got to let him go back out there and figure it out.
And he did that in the second half. He did play better. We had some positive drives there in the second half because I believe that he would do that, and he did that. And as I always tell our guys at halftime, it doesn't matter what happened in the first half. You have to flush it, remove it, and you just have to go out and finish the right way. And I told you, we've been there before. We've been in situations much more dire than this.
Including being down 19 in the fourth quarter to the Jaguars. Now, granted, that wasn't that quarterback that won that. That was Davis Mills.
And we were able to bounce back. So, in my mind, there was no doubt in my mind that we would be able to overcome that.
Same. Now, I'd be lying to you if I was, told you that I wasn't sitting on the couch watching going, I wonder if they're considering that. Like, you can sit there and I'm seeing some comments, that's coach speak at its best. Not really. Not really. Like, I believe he believes that. Coach speak is when you say shit that you don't believe. I believe DeMeco believes that, right? Like, DeMeco believes that his guy is going to get the job done. DeMeco believes that he can right the ship, right? Like, that's your guy. You dance with who brought you there, and he was the guy. So, like, when I see these people talking like it was just obvious, like it was a foregone conclusion that, like, he must be pulled from the game, like it's a must. Like, when I see people I read these comments from people, and they're fucking idiots. These people are morons. They operate in this world where it's just obvious that fucking Davis Mills, like these are the same people, by the way. The same people clamoring for Davis Mills yesterday are the same people who a month ago, if you would have said, hey, I think we should ride with Davis Mills over CJ Stroud, they're the same people that would have called you a fucking moron for saying that. Those are the same people that would have said, what the fuck are you talking about? We got CJ Stroud. He's healthy. What are you talking about, Davis Mills? Davis Mills is fine. Then they would like dig up all of his stats and say, was his stats really all that good? Wow, he did this. But is he really that good? Now, those are the same people. Those are the same people who are now telling you today that it was obvious that Davis Mills would have given you the best chance to win. Was it? Do you really believe that Davis Mills was going to go into the 21-10 game or whatever it was at halftime? Do you believe that Davis Mills was going to go into that game and save the day? Like, I read a comment just a second ago because I was reading some of the comments that people were posting on the DeMeco Ryans video. And one of the comments was, all we needed was a game manager at halftime and they would have won the game. Really, you were down 21-10. You need a little bit more than a game manager. A little bit. And by the way, he went wrong. Stroud actually played a little bit better in the second half. Look, he was a disaster. And if you want to talk about like long-term shit and whether or not CJ Stroud is your long-term solution at quarterback, that is a very fair debate to get into. And it's one that should be discussed because real talk, Stroud's got issues, brother. And we talked about it early in the season. The guy looks despondent a lot of the time. And the guy looked like he had seen a ghost. And after watching that game yesterday, that's probably not the guy I'd want to give $250 million to be your franchise quarterback, right? Like, that's fine. If you don't believe that CJ Stroud is the long-term answer, fine. I'm all on board with you. Rock on. Because I don't either. Especially after that, right? Like, I don't know how you could watch that and be like, yep, CJ Stroud, that's our long-term solution. That's our quarterback, man. Of course you don't feel that way. And you shouldn't. And you shouldn't have felt that way the first 3 weeks of the year. And you really shouldn't have felt that way through any of the season. Really, the last year and a half, almost 2 years, ever since the first season where he was great. He hadn't been great since then. And if you said, Josh, right now, and it's your money, and you have to pay the quarterback, and you have to make the decision whether or not he's going to be your guy for the future, I would not pay him. I would not give him a dime. And I would see what the hell else is out there. I wouldn't give it to fucking Davis Mills, but I'd see what else is out there, and I'd consider moving on. I mean, you got another year with the guy anyway, so you can see what you got. Maybe add like I think they're still in a position with him where they can, where they've got like a rookie deal where they can give him the 5th year option on his rookie deal, whatever. That's fine. Right? You can let him see what he's got. I'm cool with that. Like, I don't think you're in debt. I don't think the team is screwed if CJ Stroud is their quarterback next year. I don't think it's the franchise dies and they go 2-15 if Stroud's the quarterback. You got to know what you have, because there's enough you see of him where you go, maybe he's great. There's also enough where you say, okay, they're fucked. And he's not the guy. So, and that's how I felt watching that game yesterday. But at no point in watching that game did the thought cross my mind that, hey, maybe they should, like it's an obvious thing that they should pull him. There was never a thought in my mind that, Davis Mills could win the game. Never. Congrats to Davis Mills for playing a couple of good games with the Texans, having a great comeback win against the Jaguars that kind of catapulted this whole thing and jump-started the rest of the season, all that. There was no way Davis Mills was going to go in and win that game. And the fact that people believe that just shows that they're fucking idiots. Now, if you want to debate, again, we talked about this. If you want to debate whether or not they should have pulled him, I think there's a debate that can be had there. I'm not dismissing the idea of that. Like, I'm not dismissing the idea that you could say, all right, pull the guy. Because, look, the thought crossed everyone's mind watching the game, right? When you're watching the game, like, it's impossible to not watch a guy throw 4 interceptions and go, get this guy fucking out of here. What's the next option? But then you realize the next option is Davis Mills, and you're like, look, I don't care how well Davis Mills played for some moments during the season. If I've got a guy that I am questioning whether or not he's going to be the star of my franchise, the future of my franchise, if I'm still debating that about this guy, he doesn't leave the field in that game. There's never a point where I'm thinking he's got to go. Now, of course, people like to use the argument, well, what about the rest of the guys? I guarantee you the rest of the guys on the field, even though they were watching him play like shit, I guarantee you those guys think that he's their best bet to win. He's their guy. They ride with him. They die with him. Let's hear some more DeMeco audio here.
Keep your head up. I love you. Like, I got your back. And that's what I told him at halftime. This whole team has your back. Like, we're in this thing together from day one. Like, it doesn't change for me. Like, we have a really special group, a tight-knit group. When things don't go your way, you have bad performances, it's not a time to point fingers or say it's on one person. If anybody, it all starts with me.
All right, that's great. That is coach speak when they say it all starts on me with the coach. That's what you have to say. You're obligated to say that, but let's not act like that's like obvious something that you have to do.
For me, as the head coach of this team, we didn't perform well. Obviously, I didn't have our guys, ready to go in this moment. So that starts with me. We stick together.
There you go. Look, again, I can understand if you listen to that and roll your eyes, but to me, there's no way, because here's one thing you know that Davis Mills isn't the future of your franchise. And you know that because Davis Mills has been here for 100 years and no one's ever viewed Davis Mills as the future of this franchise or any other franchise. So if you've got a guy who you think can be and are still questioning whether or not he's the future of the franchise, then you don't pull that guy. You don't put him on the bench and say, tough shit, it's over. You give him a chance to dig his way out of it. That's your option there. Because if you pull him, it's over for the guy. Now, again, that's not the reason. I don't believe you sit there and say, well, we're afraid we're going to fuck with him mentally if we pull him, therefore we don't. I don't think that's the reason you do that, but I do think you're still at risk of doing that if that's how you approach that. If you approach that with, if you take him out of the game, I think here's my issue with Stroud. Here's why I would never give this guy money. But he seems like a mental midget, bro. Like when I watch the dude play, I don't feel like I'm watching a dude that like I watched him again. Look, you throw 4 interceptions and a half of football and it just snowballs on you. I don't know how anybody looks confident in that situation. My man looks fucking lost. Like he looks disheveled. He looks like he's about to start crying like he did over Homeboy when he broke his leg. Like I don't watch CJ Stroud and think that CJ Stroud's the guy that's going to lead you there. So, I think most people feel the same way. But I also watched that game and felt that it's not a situation where you pull the guy. That's a mistake. If you pull the guy out of that game, that's a mistake because I want to know if this guy can dig himself out of this. And who knows, maybe this is your last great shot to win, and maybe this defense breaks up, and maybe, you don't have a Legion of Boom thing where the defense is amazing for 5, 6, 7 years, and you can ride a defense to multiple Super Bowl appearances like Russ Wilson did. Maybe that situation never comes. Maybe that never happens. Maybe the Texans never do that. That's very possible. Maybe the Texans just never at any point evolve into that. Maybe this is a one-off deal where, you don't build something, but maybe you are building something. Maybe it is, but maybe it never gets to that point. Maybe this was your last great chance, and maybe it was a mistake. Maybe we'll look back 20 years from now and say, what would have happened if they would have pulled Stroud? Because Stroud, in 20 years from now, maybe becomes an absolute loser and maybe never evolves into anything, and he's just an afterthought, and he's hey, remember CJ Stroud? Boy, what a wild time that was. Boy, he fell off the face of the earth. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what becomes of that. It's not impossible. It's very possible that that's what we end up with in Houston. Maybe. But maybe it's not. But big picture, I think in that moment, the right decision was made to stick with him because you need to know what you got. You know that Davis Mills is not your answer. We all know this. He's not the answer. So let's just say what happens. I mean, look, and I know you can't worry about these kind of things. You're just trying to win a game. But what happens if Davis Mills does win that game? Davis Mills starts the AFC Championship game? Is that what ends up happening? Well, and look, and there are examples of this over the course of history. And by the way, thanks to all the people who are in the chat. Like, I know, I just kind of randomly did this today, so it's not like a ton of people are going to be in the chat on YouTube. I get that, but I appreciate you guys. I got from the 203 in there. I got Nick Rotindo in there. I've got Jacob in there. Some other guys. I have Bean 565. Look, I appreciate you guys. Again, if I do this on a more consistent basis, maybe I'll get more people in there to watch. Sam is in there as well. So I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. And who knows? King Bling is in there. So maybe a bunch of people will eventually find it. I never do this. I couldn't tell you the last time I did a full on podcast on YouTube. So who knows? Maybe if I pimped it out a little bit more people would join. I don't know. Who fucking knows? I don't. So, but anywho, but when you start looking at overall big picture and what's going on here, you start looking at situations that are kind of comparable, right? Like you can think of something sort of similar was, I guess it would have been the 97 or 98 Chiefs. And the starting quarterback was Elvis Gerbach. And Elvis Gerbach got hurt in the middle of that year, late in that year. And Rich Gannon came in and played his dick off, played his balls off, and they were better offensively with Rich Gannon. And playoff time comes around, and Marty Schottenheimer decides to go back to his dude, right? He decides to make the move and sticks with the guy who started the season, Elvis Gerbach, and he put Gannon on the bench. And they end up losing in the first round of the playoffs. I think they had a bye that year, maybe, because the Chiefs, that's what they did in the 90s. For the kids who don't know, the Chiefs weren't always a team that just went to every AFC Championship game and Super Bowl. There was a time that they were famous for having great regular seasons and not winning playoff games. It took them forever to win another playoff game after 1993. I think their last playoff win before the Mahomes era was against the Oilers. I think that was their last playoff win. I think they beat the Oilers in the Montana year that they lost in the AFC Championship game, which I think would have been 93. So the Chiefs hadn't won a playoff game before Mahomes for like a decade and a half, even longer than that, actually, because Mahomes didn't get there until like 13, 14, 15, whenever that was, maybe a little bit later. So they didn't win a playoff game for nearly 2 decades. So back in the day, that's what they did. They were just known for that. And the Chiefs had the opportunity to ride the hot hand in Elvis Gerbach. They decided to bolt on the hot hand, and they lose in the first one. Rich Gannon goes to the Raiders and goes to the Super Bowl and wins an MVP. But that's not what this situation is. This situation is not that. This situation is fucking Davis Mills. It's fucking Davis Mills. Like, I like, think about yourself. Think about yourself and think about what you're saying when you say it aloud. That Davis Mills, you think Davis Mills is going to win you a playoff game. Think about that, and then think about how ridiculous you sound when you say that. Why? Because Davis Mills beat the Jaguars during the regular season? Cool, who gives a shit? Because Davis Mills did enough to beat the Bills during the regular season? Congrats. As it turns out, the Bills kind of fucking sucked, so who cares? Like, you don't, and none of us believe. You don't believe it, and none of us believe that Davis Mills is going to win that. Now, B. Hannon says TJ Yates did. Yeah, TJ Yates did. They also had no other choice. It's not like it was play your guy that you think you might end up paying $250 million to and giving a huge deal to, right? Correct. Okay. Or ride with TJ Yates. That wasn't the option. Like, it's easy to go back and look at it and say TJ Yates won a playoff game. He did. He beat the Bengals. So did eventually Matt Shaw beat the Bengals. Everybody beat the Bengals. It was Marvin Lewis 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. That's what the Bengals did. They lost to everybody in the playoffs, right? I can then flip the script on you and tell you that Ryan Lindley started a playoff game for the Arizona Cardinals a couple years later and got bludgeoned because I think it was the year that Carson Palmer got hurt. Like, they were on their 3rd string emergency quarterback. The dude was like teaching elementary school somewhere. And he starts a playoff game for the Cardinals, who were great during the regular season. And then he gets in, and they were a disaster offensively. So for every one of your, hey, TJ Yates won a playoff game. Also, again, TJ Yates played a couple of regular season games as well, right? Let's not forget that shit either. Like, TJ Yates won the game on the road against, again, the Bengals, beat the Bengals in 2011 to get to the playoffs. He was their only option. There was no other guy. If you'll remember, they had the Liz Frank injury that year from Schaub. They go with Matt Leinart. Matt Leinart gets hurt almost immediately, and then it's just TJ Yates or bust. There was no other option. I couldn't even tell you who they signed to back up TJ Yates. I'm trying to remember. Am I tripping? Did they actually sign? Did they have Jake Delhomme? Let me know. Am I tripping on that? I want to say the Texans may have signed Jake Delhomme at one point. That can't be right. But I think they did. I think Delhomme, who backed up TJ Yates? When they played the playoff games against the Bengals at home, and then Yates, I guess, would have played the Ravens game, right? Was it Yates that played in 2011? So that's when they went to the Ravens. Who was the backup quarterback for TJ Yates in 2011? Because, I mean, Schaub didn't play that game, right? Schaub was out. He had a Liz Frank injury. He was out for the year. So that's what I want to know is who's the guy who backed up TJ Yates? That is a wonderful question. Who backed up TJ Yates? 2011 Houston Texans. I swear that Jake Delhomme played for the Texans that year. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, I don't know why I feel this way. Was Delhomme ever on the, he was. There he was, Jake Delhomme. Boy, who says I don't know fucking sports? Everybody bend over and take it. A Jake Delhomme pull, by the way. And by the way, Jake Delhomme attempted 28 passes for the Texans that year. How about that shit? So would that mean then that Jake Delhomme was the backup quarterback for TJ Yates in the playoff game? Because that was the year that Jacoby Jones dropped the punt. They were in the game against Baltimore. Jacoby Jones dropped a punt. And that was that. Because, again, that was the year that Leinart was the backup quarterback to Schaub. Schaub got hurt. Leinart got hurt like in the first quarter of the next game, I think, or something like that. And then it was Yates for, I want to say, like the last 5 games of the year, something like that. And Jake Delhomme was his backup. Boy, what a world that was. Yeah, because that's right. So Yates started 5 games. He went 2-3. That's another thing you need to remember. TJ Yates went 2-3 as the backup, as the starting quarterback for the Texans. So again, if you're trying to use a TJ Yates reference, and look, there are examples of backup quarterbacks going on runs. Philadelphia Eagles know about it. When you had homeboy win him the Super Bowl, right? Nick Foles. Nick Foles, by the way, when he won the Super Bowl in 2017, had also taken the team to the playoffs back in 2013. So he wasn't a total nothing. Like, dude, Davis Mills is a fucking nothing burger, bro. Davis Mills is a nothing burger. And how many years has Davis Mills played in the league? Anyone? Has he been in there since Bill O'Brien? How many years has Davis Mills been in the NFL? He's 27. He's been in the league since 2021. So he's been in the league 5 years. Bless his heart. Davis Mills ain't going to do shit. I get that Davis Mills has started some games, and I get that Davis Mills had to play during the what's-his-name era, who was it, Cully era. I get all that shit. I mean, look, it was a shitty spot to be in. But Davis Mills sucks. Davis Mills ain't going nowhere. Davis Mills is a fine backup quarterback, and if he has to play 2 or 3 games for you, as you saw this year, you can survive with Davis Mills. If you've got a great defense behind him, you can survive with Davis Mills. But these idiots that are just like, oh my God, Davis Mills should have played. Oh my God, Davis Mills should have played. Fuck off. Like, it's such a dumb take. Like, how dare they? You ain't going to bench a guy that you think you might still be paying $250, $300 million to. That ain't going to happen. If you think that there's any chance that CJ Stroud is still your franchise quarterback and a guy that you're going to pay big bucks to, that guy ain't getting fucking benched in that game. And if you notice, like, Josh Allen played like shit. Now, again, Josh Allen is a far more accomplished NFL quarterback in terms of years in the league, MVPs, all that shit. He is a more accomplished quarterback than CJ Stroud. But do you think when Josh Allen was playing like dog shit in the first half, they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to bench Josh Allen and bring in whoever the fucking backup is. You want to know why? No. You want to know why? Because nobody even fucking knows who the backup quarterback for the Bills is. For $100, who is the backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills? Now, Jacob says CJ sucks too. I'm not dismissing that. But CJ Stroud is a first-round pick at quarterback, and they need to know what they have. So if the argument is that CJ Stroud sucks, he very well may fucking suck. And look, real talk, CJ Stroud has been bad for a year and a half. Had a great first year and started out very slow in year 2 and was not good at all in year 3, to the point that I'm making videos about whether or not this guy actually sucks. And he may. I'm not disagreeing with you. But what I am saying is that you need to know that for sure. You need to know that he's not the guy that's going to get you there. And maybe DeMeco cost him their one best shot. Maybe next year Mahomes is back and Burrow stays healthy, which he won't because he doesn't. But maybe Mahomes is back and Burrow and Josh Allen gets a coach that knows how to win in the playoffs. And then who knows? Maybe this was the one opportunity. And if we look back on this in 20 years and go, holy shit, the Texans had a legitimate shot of winning the Super Bowl. Because ain't nobody in there that's worth a shit. But I think you still ride with your guy. I think you have no other choice. You've got to ride with the guy that's there. Trubisky, by the way, is the backup quarterback for the Bills. Great. Last time I checked, nobody was like, holy shit, we got to get Trubisky in the fucking game. Hurry, hurry. And again, different situation. I'm well aware of that. Josh Allen, far more accomplished than CJ Stroud. Cool. Although I would like, how many more playoff wins does Josh Allen have than Stroud? Stroud's got 3, right? How many playoff wins does Josh Allen have? Again, just if you want to base this, because if I had to guess, Allen probably has 5. Does that sound right? Because he lost to the masturbator, right? That was that overtime game against Deshaun. I would say he's got 5 or 6. Let's see. Josh Allen total playoff wins. Let's see how many he's got. He has 8. Cool. How many years has he been in the league, right? He's got 8 playoff wins and 7 losses. And CJ Stroud's been in the league for 3 years. He's got 3 playoff wins. Again, that's not the end all be all. I'm not trying to tell you that CJ Stroud is some sort of god and that he's infallible and that CJ Stroud could never be benched, or I'm not telling you that they can't move on from CJ Stroud. But you're going to do everything you can to make sure that you didn't fuck up a top overall pick, a top 5 whatever pick in the NFL. You can't. And if you would have yanked him there, you're basically telling the world that you think this guy sucks and he's done. So you can't do that. And at the end of the day, do you think that CJ Stroud, when he figures it out, gives you a better shot of winning the game than Davis Mills? Here's the argument that I've seen people make for Davis Mills. The Davis Mills argument is, well, he's a good game manager. Cool. You're down by 11 points. Hate to break it to you. You don't need a game manager when you're down 11 points. 11 points ain't going to get you shit. If you're down 11 points at halftime, game manager, like pass, punt, and let the defense win, it ain't going to work that way. So, let's see. B. Hannon, Assweiler got the Broncos in the playoffs, went 5-2, and then got signed by the Texans. That is true. I feel bad for our defense. Anderson is who we thought CJ. Dude, Jacob, I'm with you, brother. I mean, the Texans defense is nasty. We know they're nasty. They couldn't do anything on offense. Pat's defense good too. They're a well-coached team too. Like, think about this. You want to point a finger and laugh at somebody? Laugh at the Titans. The Titans had the dude. They had Vrabel, and they basically told him to go fuck himself because their owner's an idiot. Anytime you think that the McNairs have issues, remember that Amy Adams Strunk is the owner of the Titans, and she just got sick of going to the AFC Championship game with Mike Vrabel and decided to team up with whatever dipshit she decided to hire after Vrabel. Vrabel's one win away from the Super Bowl. He's going to win. If you want me to believe that Jared Stidham is going to beat Mike Vrabel's defense, go fuck yourself. It ain't going to happen. So, and Amy Adams Strunk over here is like, hey, maybe we're going to hire Matt fucking Nagy. So anytime you think that your team is stupid, and many teams are, there are a lot of bad owners, do not forget that Amy Adams Strunk fired Mike Vrabel and teamed up with whoever the fuck she teamed up with, whatever those jamokes were, whoever we're talking, Rand Carthon and all these other dipshits that she hired, and got rid of Mike Vrabel, who is now about to go to the Super Bowl for a franchise that with Gerard Mayo was a total fucking waste. All right, other stuff. We'll move on from the Texans stuff. I did mention on Twitter yesterday, I did make like a goof about the more things change and like one of those evolving pictures from Stroud into Schaub. I've never seen more people defend Matt Schaub. It's funny the people that others will defend whenever they're angry and just want to make their point. Ain't nobody was defending Matt Schaub for shit. Matt Schaub ended his career with the Texans throwing like a pick six in like 6 straight games. But now everybody wants to act like Matt Schaub was great. Oh, Schaub would have won that game. The fuck Matt Schaub would have won that game. Did you miss the games that Matt Schaub played in the playoffs in New England? Matt, here's the thing about Schaub, and I'm never going to be a Schaub shitter on her because I think Schaub was better than people gave him credit for. But because he was the quarterback in that era and they didn't win a ton, it was easy to shit on the guy, right? And it ended very poorly with the pick sixes, right? I'll give Schaub a lot more credit than some. He did go to the Pro Bowl as like a 14th alternate. So there you go. But the thing about Schaub was this. Schaub could pile up some numbers. The issue with Schaub is that a lot of those numbers came from garbage time. And I say garbage time. When you're down 20-3 at halftime of a game and you have no other choice but to throw, that's when those Gary Kubiak offenses were at their best. Like, hey, it's 20-3, cut loose. And then before you know it, Schaub, who played like shit in the first half, comes out and throws for 350 and 4 touchdowns. And sometimes they rally and win, and sometimes they throw a pick in the last second, you know. But that was the Gary Kubiak, Matt Schaub experience. And it was a hell of a fun roller coaster. But let's not act like Matt Schaub is some sort of, you know, god of quarterback play. Because, you know, we just all want to shit on CJ Stroud. The idea that Matt, again, I can't believe I'm arguing this guy hadn't played for the Texans in 13 years. But I brought it up, so I guess I kind of forced myself into it. But Schaub was fine, and Schaub was okay, and Schaub had some moments where I wouldn't even say he was okay. Schaub was an above-average quarterback. In every year he was with the Texans, I'd say he was probably a top 10 quarterback in the league. I'd say that's fair. And that's in an era where it was Brady and Manning and Drew Brees and Roethlisberger, and at one point Russ Wilson, like guys who were at the height of their powers in an era where the quarterback play was better than it's ever been. So to say that Matt Schaub was in the top 7, 8, 9, 10 of those wasn't unfair and say pretty good, you know, and the Kubiak offense were pretty good. But I don't believe that Matt Schaub, God, the fact I'm arguing this makes me feel like a total fucking imbecile. But I don't believe that Matt Schaub wins that game. I went to that stadium to watch Matt Schaub on Monday Night Football, Letterman Jackets game, right? I was at that game. It was in December of 2012. I remember this vividly because I had just gotten offered a new deal to stay at 610, and who knows, maybe in hindsight I should have. But I just got offered a new deal to stay at 610, and they were going to pay me, like, eventually that deal was going to pay me six figures for the first time in my life, and I'm like, holy shit, I am the shit. Now, of course, I was also talking to Philadelphia, and I eventually went to Philadelphia. But I remember sitting there at this bar. I remember very little about going to Foxborough, except that it was really warm. It was a very warm, unseasonably warm December in New England. And so, like, I went to, like, the stores and looking for Long Johns and shit, and I get to the game, wasn't even cold. But I remember sitting in a bar with Jilly, and I'm talking to my agent at the time, David, who subsequently may be my agent again, because I feel like I need one now, because, you know, I don't make any money. But I'm sitting there and he texts me. He goes, here's the offer that CBS in Houston gave you. And I want to say the offer was like a 3-year deal. And I forgot how much I was making at the time. None of this matters, but like I like sharing these things. By the way, like, and if you don't subscribe to the channel, feel free to, and you can hit the like button. I think that helps, and commenting helps too. Again, I'm new to the YouTube game, so hopefully we start getting more people in here if I do this on a consistent basis, and I would appreciate it. But I remember, because I forgot what, I think I was only making, like, my base was somewhere maybe in the 70s. But remember, when I got to 610, I was making $35,000 a year, which is about what I make now. But when I got there in 2009, I was making 35 grand because I had left Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge was paying me 19,000 or something like that. And I got the job in Houston for 35. So I doubled my salary, right? And within a year of doing the morning stuff, I moved to afternoons, and they moved me to 50 or something like that. Remember, 50 grand for a guy to do an afternoon show back in 2009 is not a lot of money. But I think it was maybe 52, and then they eventually bumped me up to 60 something. So maybe at the end of the time there, I was making 60 something, 70 base. And they had offered me a deal. And the 3-year deal, if I recall correctly, was 3 years, 90, 100, and 110, I think was the offer that they had given me. And I was going to sign it. And then, like, the next month is when my boss decided to leave and go to Dallas. And at that point, I was like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore. That's my guy. Like, the only guy that can keep me, sane there, even though we yelled at each other a lot. So that's when I decided that, Philly really is on the radar. And then I went to Philly, and I actually took less money to go do nights in Philadelphia with the idea that I would eventually move to a better day part. But when I got to Philadelphia, it was 75, I think. Now, looking back, I probably shouldn't have. Now, I say I probably shouldn't have left 610, but I don't know. I mean, it was Philadelphia, and I did very well in Philadelphia, but I like my highest base salary in Philly only got into the low hundreds. But granted, again, it was a very similar situation. You start low, so if they give you even a moderate raise, right, you're like, oh, that's sweet. So if you go from 75 to like 90, that's a nice raise, right? So like they start you low, and that's kind of how the game went. Then I got whacked there, and then I made real fucking money at 790, but I just really didn't enjoy the situation there. I made a lot of money there and had a lot of bonuses that I really didn't deserve because, like, my deal was ridiculous. It was like we were the #1 sports show in the mornings. We were like 30th place, but because we were the #1 sports show, I'd get these big bonuses, and I'm like, God, that ain't gonna last forever, and it didn't. Anyway, none of that really matters. All that to tell you, I tell you all that to tell you that that's what was going on in my life when I went to New England in 2012. So I went to that Monday night game, and that was the Letterman Jackets game, the Monday night game. And at the time, the Texans were like, what were they, like 9-1 maybe when that game happened, or 10-2 or something like that. And they wore the Letterman Jackets, and I watched Matt Schaub go to New England and just get the dick knocked off of him. And you can say, well, Josh, that was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Sure, that's fine. But if anybody really wants to come at me with like Matt Schaub, like as if to say like Stroud sucks and Schaub was great, Schaub would have lost a game like this too, because there's no evidence to show that he wouldn't. Because the time I had the opportunity to watch him do it, they were down, I want to say 17 points at one point in the playoff game too, to New England with Matt Schaub. The game ended up closer. Like I think they lost by 17, and he threw for like 400 yards, but he threw for 400 yards because they were down the whole game and he had no choice. Let's see. King Bling says, RIP 790 show, best show of all time. It really was a good show. I was talking to Jim today, actually. I missed Jim. I was talking with him about like my dreams in life of moving back to Texas, getting a smoker, and just watching Landman with Jim. Like, but anyway, so that was the stuff. We'll move on from the Texans game. I spent 40 minutes talking about the Texans game. Just to put a bow on it, though, CJ shouldn't have been benched. I've heard people talking shit about, like, I saw somebody say that DeMeco obviously doesn't know what he's doing. Like, okay, then if DeMeco doesn't know what he's doing, fire him. He's just a coach, a defensive coach that is the number one defense in the NFL. Took you from 0-3, won 9 games in a row, did it with a backup quarterback and a quarterback who sucks ass in CJ Stroud, and he sucks. Great. DeMeco Ryans fucking sucks. It's such a fucking it's such a dumb, it's a stupid, inane take. It's fascinating, but anyway, other stuff. I was talking with Jim today, and I'm sitting here in all this fucking snow, and Detroit's a nice place. I don't dislike Detroit at all, but I hate the fucking weather. Like, it's wild to me that somebody would like know the weather that's here and go like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to move to Detroit knowing that for 6 months, it's like you live in fucking Siberia. Like, I woke up this morning just pissing snow. And I'm like, my God, it's just snow on top of snow on top of snow. And I guess if you're like born into something like this, then I guess it's just fine because it's just what you do. Like, look, I wasn't born into like the Louisiana heat, but I lived so long there that I feel like I kind of got used to it. It was kind of part of me because I went from Louisiana to Houston, basically the same fucking weather. Swampy, just sticky, nasty, 100 degrees in September weather, right? So like I'm used to that. So I've lived that life, but I felt like I was kind of used to it and I was accustomed to it. So to me, like, yeah, I hated the heat, but because I lived it so long and I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I can't imagine living my life in Detroit and just like, I know that for 6 months out of the year, I'm in fucking Russia. Like is it worse than the Philly cold? Exponentially worse than the Philly cold. Philly was rather moderate. Like I'd go to games in December in Philadelphia and anticipate being super cold. I never really was. Like I never got into a situation where I felt like, oh shit, I'm super cold today. Like I'm not saying the weather was always great. Like the most snow I've ever seen in my life was a snowstorm that happened in Philadelphia. So I'm not telling you that the weather was perfect in Philadelphia by any means. What I am telling you is that this weather here is like, it is like hell. If hell is snow, then that's what we're dealing with here, right? Like that's kind of what you get into now here. Like it is dreadful. Like I was reading a story about seasonal depression and that like, hey, Michigan or Detroit is a big area for seasonal depression. Like, well, no shit. Of course it's a shitty situation. Of course they have seasonal depression. For 6 months, you're waking up every day to snow and getting snow off the car and scraping ice off the fucking car. Like, of course it is. Like, I'm depressed every day that I wake up. Like, every day I look out the window and I'm just like, shit. Like, so if you want to talk about seasonal depression, like that, I got it. Because every day when I wake up, I look out the window and I'm like, fuck. Today I was walking my dog. My dog's a high energy dog, Ross, very, very high energy dog. And I'm not trying to sit here and break down the weather again because I've been accused and like messages I've gotten from people of just talking about weather and weather conversations boring. Well, look, if you live in a place where it's like 65 degrees right now, your life is fine. When you wake up in the morning to go to work, you wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and you go out to the car. And you have to get a fucking brush out. You have to get all the fucking snow off the car. Then you have to make sure the car is running for a little bit before so the ice kind of melts on the window. And then you're slipping and sliding as you're driving. The other day, I was driving at like 10 miles an hour on the highway to get to work because it was like an ice luge. Look, some people are programmed for snow. And I think if you're born into something like this, like that's what you do, right? Like you're just programmed to like live in the snow. Some people are, some people aren't. Again, if you're born in this and you live in it, what else do you know? Like I guarantee you could talk to someone who's lived their entire life in Detroit. And if you were like, hey, it's December, January in Houston and it's 95 degrees, they'd go fuck yourself. And I'm sure they would. They wouldn't like it. But man, like, you know me, I hate wearing clothes. I hate wearing hoodies. I'm wearing fucking sweats and fucking like duck boots and shit today. I hate wearing this shit. I hate putting on clothes. I'm wearing multiple layers. Like I'm wearing, like, if you guys want to have a peep show, I'm wearing like long johns. Sorry for my fat stomach there, but look, you're all invested now. I'm wearing like fucking long johns. I'm wearing fucking multiple layers of socks. It's so cold that when I drive in the car, like my feet get cold just driving. I mean, it fucking sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. The weather fucking sucks. As Tumasta says, you're a Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops gentleman of size. That's exactly what I am. I want to dress like a fat Sammy Hagar. That's all I want to do. God forbid you have to use the toilet, says CW. Exactly. I saw some video the other day on Instagram, like a reel, where someone's like, when my hubby wants to start going at it, but it's wintertime, and she's like taking off all like 25 layers. I'm like, shit. I mean, like, but that's how it is. Not that I would know about what it's like to try to get action in this time of year. There is no action, but it's still like, fuck. So if you've lived in this, like I know someone here that's from Michigan that worked in San Antonio for a handful of years and hated it. So I can understand if you're someone that this is what you're used to and you got the 4 seasons and all that shit. If you go down to, Mexico and San Antonio and it's 900 degrees all year, then I get it. But if you're like Josh, just straight up weather-wise, living-wise, where would be a better place to live? San Antonio or Detroit? 100% San Antonio. I'd go hang out with AJ down in San Antonio because, like, I see here's the life I want to live. And this is a difficult life to live in a place where it snows 5 months out of the year and it's cold for 7 months out of the year. As you know, is I want to have a smoker. I got rid of my Traeger because when we moved, I'm like, I'll just get a new one. It's fine. So I got rid of the Traeger. And listen, before you knock me, oh, Traeger, huh? Oh, boy, look at that pussy. Oh, it's like an oven. Yeah, it is, and I don't give a fuck. I enjoy using it. So I got the Traeger, and I would go out every Sunday, man. And even in St. Louis, the weather got cold, obviously. But, like, I would throw pork butt on there. I would throw a brisket on there. And, look, I wasn't great at it, but I loved it. Like, I have a passion for learning about meat. I watch like the Meat Church videos. I watch all these different dudes that have meat videos. I listen to John Lopez's barbecue podcast. I just want to do that kind of shit. It's a passion. I have a passion for learning about smoking meat, baby. That's a passion that I have. And it's just something that I don't even bother doing here. Like, I'm not going to walk outside in 5 feet of snow and be like, let's roll out the old smoker. Plus, I live in a house that's like 900 years old and doesn't even have any outdoor outlets to plug in the fucking Traeger. So again, I'm well aware that I bitch a lot about the weather. But someone asked earlier, is it worse than the Philly weather? It is exponentially worse than the Philadelphia weather. Would you rather live in Detroit or St. Louis? That's a fine question because there's many layers to that. There's more to do in Detroit because you can go see a hockey game, which you could do in St. Louis as well. But you could watch a hockey game. You could go to an NFL game, which I haven't because the NFL game tickets are $1 billion. I don't know what asshole spends that kind of money to go see a fucking football game, unless it's the biggest football game ever. But there'll be games where the Lions are playing the New York Giants, and to get in, it costs $500 a ticket. Like, sorry, I'm not spending $500 to go watch the shitty Lions or the mediocre Lions play the dog shit Giants. I'm not going to do that. You get baseball, which you also get in St. Louis, but you also get the NBA, which you don't get in St. Louis. So you have options. And again, I have nothing against the city itself. I kind of like the vibe of it. I think it's a cool place. But St. Louis, I just never really enjoyed, although they have a great park in St. Louis, and I do miss that. And the weather, like there would be stretches where the weather was terrible. Like you'd have a chance to get like 5,000 feet of snow in St. Louis, but it didn't stay there all damn year long either for 6 months. I guess the positive about this area is at least you'll get the like people know how, generally speaking, to like get the plows out and get the roads treated. Whereas a place like St. Louis, they struggled with that. So at least you got that going here. But like I told Jim when I was texting him earlier, because we were talking about Landman and the hot chicks that are on Landman and the Landman finale last night and all that. And Landman's fine. I don't think it's the best show I've ever seen, but I love Billy Bob Thornton, and I really love Allie fucking Larder. Like I adore 50-year-old Allie Larder. In fact, I adore 50-year-old Allie Larder more than I enjoy like 20-something-year-old Allie Larder in Varsity Blues. Like, I am all here 100% for middle-aged, sort of leathery skinned, 50 years old, super tan, fake Texas looking Allie Larder. Like, that is hashtag my Allie Larder, and I'm here for it. So there's tons of hot chicks on the show. I love Billy Bob because he's funny and I love him, and I've always liked Billy Bob. So like, you know what, like watching the show, I enjoy the show, but it's like the show isn't spectacular. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted it to be better than it is, but like, it's a good show. Like, it's watchable. Here's the problem I run into with Landman. Landman ends up talking about a lot of shit that just sounds like the Peanuts teacher to me. Like, with all the numbers and like, here's the oil and here's like this and this and this. And before I know it, you kind of lose me. It's like, wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. You know, it's just kind of like I know that, like, here's what I know. There's some oil shit, and there's a hot Hispanic chick that's with this rat looking guy that's Billy Bob's kid in the show. And like, there's a lot of shit that I like I get the relationships in it. Once you start breaking down shit about oil and like, here's Andy Garcia talking about fucking oil, I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. I mean, you might as well be speaking Swahili because I have no idea what any of this means. But I do watch it and I enjoy it because I love Billy Bob and I love. I don't know why I just try. I love Allie Larder. Allie, she loves Trump. She loves. I love Allie Larder. So sounds like me with Game of Thrones, says King Blink. That's why I want to watch that shit. Like, I'm not going to sit there and spend an hour. And those are shows I can't follow. What, like, shows that are set in like medieval times and shit, you have like no chance to have me like invested because I can't follow the shit. I also can't follow shit that's black and white. I like It's a Wonderful Life, but everybody looks the same to me in black and white. Is that Donna Reed or is that some other chick? I don't fucking know. I can't follow anybody in black and white stories. They all look like the same. And when you start putting a show that's like in medieval times, or you put a show that's in like, you know, if you start giving me a show that is set in like prehistoric times, medieval times, in Japan or anywhere in Asia, cannot follow shows in Asia. And I don't enjoy them. So like, when the Bad News Bears went to fucking Japan, I didn't go with them. When the Ninja Turtles went to fucking Japan, you know who didn't go with them? This fucking guy. Crouching Tiger, Hidden bullshit. Didn't watch that. Like, I just can't follow shows. Like, I'm turned off by shows that take place in other countries other than like England. But outside of that, like, I'm not going to watch shit that takes place in Germany. I don't give a fuck about Germany. I can't follow it. All the fucking German people in the shows all look the fucking same. They all sound and look the same to me. It's like they're all speaking Swahili. I can't get into it. It's just something that doesn't rev my engine in such a manner. And I won't even bother. And you know another show that shows that are like that? Shows with mobsters, Italian mafia shows. I can't follow them because like everybody's kind of the same fucking characters. Hey, it's old Paulie, blee, 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 blee. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. Who are you? Like, what's the difference between like Paulie and you, whatever? I don't know who these people are. Like, I have no clue what any of that is. Bake Street, let's see, Josh frigging Innes, we miss you in the H, bro. Miss you too, brother. Thank you. H up. But yeah, like, I can't follow any of that shit. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I watch mob movies, I'm like, they all look like the same guy to me. I'm being like Italian racist here, I guess, but I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. Let's see. Yes, I binged all of The Sopranos, had no clue what happened after. Like, I don't know who any of these people are. They all got wacky fucking names and they all sound the same and look the same. It didn't do anything for me. Anyway, I know I've kind of gone off the rails there. You know, I haven't even I spent all this time talking about the Texans and talking about other shit about random shows. Sean Payton, who I'm rooting against very, very hard. They stole the game from Buffalo, by the way. I love to talk about like what happens, like the butterfly effect. Like, what happens if somebody steps on a butterfly in a different era, and then what happens after that, like how it impacts life, right? Same thing like with John Harbaugh. If the kicker makes the kick a couple of weeks ago for Baltimore, does John Harbaugh still have a job, or does he just get fired the next week? What happens? Does Tomlin get fired before the playoff game? Like, what happens? If they make the right call on that play, and to me, you're not going to convince me otherwise that it's like the guy caught the fucking ball. He's on the ground with the ball. He gets the ball stripped from him. If that's not a fucking catch, then I don't know what a catch is. So if that actually is ruled a catch, and they kick the field goal and they go to the AFC Championship game, Sean McDermott has a job. Now, who's to say that if they lose in the AFC Championship game to the Patriots, he still doesn't get fired? Maybe he was destined to be fired. Like anything less than a Super Bowl, then, maybe, anything less than a Super Bowl, he was going to be fired anyway. But that was a catch, bro. And if you're not going to call that a catch, I don't know what a catch is. So, and then later in the Bears game, there was another play that was very similar that was ruled a catch. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And then, like, here's my biggest takeaway from that. You've got the biggest game on the planet right now going on. Big playoff game. Jobs obviously were on the line because homeboy lost the game and lost his job, Sean McDermott. The shit that we review for 45 minutes, the shit that we watch and have to sit through a whole review, there was no review. There was no replays of it. There was no like, hey, we're going to go under the hood and really dive into this. It's, fuck it, on to the next one. Huh? What are we doing? Like, and then like, how does the NFL pick and choose when to do an expedited review? Like sometimes it'll just be like, oh, look, there's a review. Oh, it took 13 nanoseconds. It took a blink. It took one blink and it was done. Yet the biggest play of the season, and it was just kind of like, fuck it. I think we got this one right. Like, how do we determine that? How do we determine the plays that get a 45-minute review? And how do we get they just, like, before the announcers can even say there's going to be a review, there's a review. How do we determine that? Devastating for Josh Allen, though. Because, I mean, look, bro, like, you don't bounce back from this. Like, in terms of reputation, in terms of who you are, like, first of all, people wouldn't have given you much credit for beating this lineup of quarterbacks anyway, because there's no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar. We hear it all the fucking time. It gets tiresome, right? So you don't hear that all that often, or like you hear that way too often. But what you end up with here when you start talking about Allen is it was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he would have finally won the Super Bowl, the majority of people just would have said, hey, you know what? He just beat a bunch of dipshits. Cool. Didn't really mean anything. Got to beat Mahomes to do it, or got to get through Mahomes or somebody of value. And then if you lose, then you're really fucked. And that's what happened to him. He lost, and he's really fucked in terms of the perception. It's like when I had some guy that kept trying to get me to do celebrity boxing when I was in Philadelphia. He kept offering celebrity boxing. You should do celebrity boxing. Like, I'm never going to fucking do that. He's like, you should fight Mike Missinelli, celebrity boxing. I'm like, well, first of all, he's not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that. But what benefit do I get? If I beat the shit out of some 70-year-old lesbian, I'm an asshole. If I get my ass kicked by a 70-year-old lesbian, I'm an asshole. There's no situation that comes of this where I'm not an asshole. So why would I do it? And that's kind of like where you kind of find yourself with Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a fucked if you do, fucked if you don't. Because now, you win that, but at least if you win it, you say you have a Super Bowl. At least you have a case. You can say, I don't give a fuck who I had to beat. It's like when people fuck with the Rockets for winning 2 titles in the Jordanless years. You still won them. Would you prefer they hadn't have won them? Like, that would be your option, right? Like, if your other option is, we lost the 2 titles without Jordan, then you're a real fucking loser. At least if you won it, you can at least fight the fight and say, we would have beaten Jordan anyway. So, really shitty situation for Josh Allen, like real turd burger of a situation for him. Like, woof. I can see why the guy was sobbing at the fucking podium. You lost to fucking Bo Nix. You lost to Bo Nix in the playoffs. When everything was out in front of you, when the whole path was laid there. Like, look, I get it when you can't beat Mahomes. Mahomes is this fucking magician. You can't beat him. He is your kryptonite. I get it. The whole path was laid out in front of Josh Allen. He had a path to go through. And what did he do instead? What did Josh Allen do? They shit the bed. And then they fired the coach. And everybody cried. The players cried. Everybody cried. I would cry too. Because you were given a layup. You were given a clear path. And you fucked it up. You blew it. right? Like, I mean, you have to win that game. And I get that you're on the road, whatever. That's Bo fucking Nix. That's Sean Payton. You know what Sean Payton does in the playoffs? Gags. That's who Sean Payton is. As someone who's a Saints fan, and I know it seems ridiculous because I'm wearing a Texans hoodie and a Detroit Tigers hat, I am a Saints fan. And yes, thank you, Sean Payton, for winning a Super Bowl. It was very nice of you. But I also look at that last great run of the Saints that resulted in no Super Bowl appearances. And in that run, you lost playoff games to Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins at home and Jared Goff. Before that, you lost playoff games to a 7-9 shitty Seattle team, and you lost to Alex Smith. So that's what Sean Payton does. That's who he is. So you couldn't even beat that guy. And he finds ways to lose home playoff games that he shouldn't lose. With the Saints, he let Kirk Cousins march down the field in overtime, never let the Saints touch the ball back in the old overtime rules. Never let them touch the ball. Bang, 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 touchdown, game over. At home in the Superdome. And they had to rally to tie the game, the Saints did, in that playoff game. Oh, I forgot about Nick Foles. They let Nick Foles, they beat Nick Foles. Actually, no, I take that back. They beat Nick Foles twice, now that I think about it. They beat him in 13, and they beat him in 18. But let's be real, they should have lost to Nick Foles. If Alshon Jeffrey doesn't let an easy pass go through his hands, the Saints were going to give up the touchdown in that situation. They were going to lose because the Saints had missed a field goal before that. They could have put them up 9, and they were going to lose by a point. What pissed me off in watching the Broncos is, as a Saints fan, the Saints always blow those playoff games. Broncos didn't. Now, they basically did. The refs gave them the game. That also pissed me off. Explain to me how now Sean Payton is getting the calls from the refs. Explain to me how now Sean Payton gets the benefit of a bad call. Explain to me how Sean Payton's team comes through with the big win in the playoffs and doesn't choke it away. Fuck you, Sean Payton. Eat a dick. When I see Saints fans that are like, I'm pulling for Sean Payton, you're a cuck. Eat shit. I ain't. And look, with the second he's done coaching, I'll blow the guy. I'll be like, I love Sean Payton. What a run. It was a great 20 years in New Orleans. I don't want that guy to fucking win. I'm a bitter son of a bitch. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think I'm happy for Sean Payton. Fuck that dude. That dude tried to bolt on the Saints to go coach Tom Brady in Miami. That fell through. Then he quit and then decides to come back. Fuck you. Leaving us with goddamn Dennis Allen, you shit stick. Fuck you. And also good for Dennis Allen losing too. Got tired of hearing about how great Dennis Allen is too for the Bears. I'm also sick of the fucking Bears. Miracle workers. My God, they are going to go 6-11 next year, and it's going to be sexy. I can't wait to watch the Bears go 6-11. I actually like Caleb. I think Caleb's kind of fucking good. I think he's kind of a G. Like, yes, that's a miracle play. They ran to tie the game at the end. It was a miracle. I really hate Ben Johnson. The Bears fall into that category of like the New York Knicks, where all the media talk all great about them. Like the whole world's supposed to give a shit about all this, but like, whatever. So, but next year when the miracles cease for the Bears, and then the Bears start, playing a tougher group of teams, they will start to lose. And I will enjoy it. The Bears will go 6-11 next year. And then Ben Johnson won't be a genius anymore. And Caleb ain't going to be this great story anymore. I will enjoy this thoroughly. They are going to go 6-11, maybe 7-10. Maybe is probably what we're looking at here. But anyway, so there's that. I'm glad the Bears have finally died. I look forward to watching Sean lose. Hey, look, I think that's real talk. That's kind of nature working itself out. That's a ball don't lie situation. It sucks that Knicks had to get hurt for the ball don't lie situation to come about, but it's a ball don't lie situation because the Bills had the game stolen from them by the refs. It is a ball don't lie scenario. And then what happens in turn? You lose your quarterback. Ball don't lie. Oh, but Sean Payton relishes these opportunities, guys. Let me tell you, Sean Payton loves a challenge. Does he really love the challenge of fucking Stidham, of Jared Stidham having to take him to the Super Bowl? This motherfucker got to 1 Super Bowl with Drew Brees. Do you think he's over here like, boy, I cannot wait I cannot wait for that opportunity, guys. I am foaming at the mouth for the opportunity to take Jared Stidham to the fucking Super Bowl. Everybody's waiting for that moment until it actually fucking happens. Then you know what happens when it happens? Dick. Nothing happens. So he can, like, I'm watching all these people blow Sean Payton for this. Oh, he loves these opportunities. He is locked. Sean Payton lives for this moment to try to take this challenge. I wish he would have, been up for the challenge when Kirk fucking Cousins beat you in the Superdome in the playoffs, or the challenge of not losing to Case Keenum in the fucking playoffs. That's what I would have appreciated. But great, he likes the challenge of Jared Stidham. Eat a dick. Eat a whole bushel basket of dick, Sean. Good for you. I would have preferred you lost with your starting quarterback, but I'll take you losing with Jared Stidham. Everybody loves it until it comes down to it, and then you lose. Somebody brought up, what if he just would bring back Drew Brees and they'd make it? I'd kill myself. Right here on YouTube. I would do it live for everybody. I would just pull a gun out and be like, it's over. I would hang myself. I would Brooks was here it. If somehow like Drew Brees did a Fat Phil move and comes out of retirement and Sean and Drew Brees somehow win the game against the Patriots and go to the Super Bowl and win it, I would hang myself in front of everybody. And then for my luck, the weak ass ceilings in this building would collapse on my fat ass and it would just be embarrassing. But that's what would happen. Thank you, John. It would be good for views. I like doing the podcast with an audience though, because it gives me a little bit more juice. When you're talking to yourself, you don't really have any juice. When you get reactions from people, you get nice juice. And even if it's few people, again, this is the first time I've done this in a million years. Now, just because you watch this doesn't mean you should not at least download the podcast, because the podcast is where I actually get some cash for this until I start trying to find other ways to do it. But the podcast is a good way for me to make a couple of bucks. So still download, even if I do this consistently, which maybe I will, maybe I won't. This is just a day off. So I came up here, had to do some shit anyway. So I just decided to do this in here. If you guys watch this, still download the podcast and subscribe to the actual podcast so I can make a couple of bucks, and that'll give me more reason to do it. Huh? How about that? And just like that, you've just been rewarded with an hour plus of content here on a day off. What a blessed day. But anyway, I guess I got to go because I got more work to do. But you guys are awesome. Make sure you like and subscribe and whatever. I don't know how all this shit. I'm just saying the shit that I hear people on YouTube videos say all the time. The DoorDash podcasts were low-key hilarious, and they would have been great had my shit worked in the car, because I had plans on just doing live like drive-alongs with DoorDashing, but my shit wouldn't work. So it was kind of a failure in that way. I still got those 4790 podcasts saved on my old iPhone. God, that is lovely. That is lovely. Oh, bell notification. Oh yeah, I forgot about you. You gotta slap that like button, or what do they say? You gotta smack the bell. So there's there. King Bling says, I started door dashing since I lost my job. It really isn't all that bad. And if you try to ignore the fact that you're using a lot of gas to do it, like you'll get a check and it'll be like $500. You'll be like, well, shit, I say a check. You'll get a direct deposit for like $500. You're like, well, this isn't all that bad. Then you realize you probably spent $497 on gas and you just broke even. But boy, it sure feels good to get a direct deposit, doesn't it? It's nice. Anyway, I will go now. Again, make sure you like and keep subscribing to the podcast. Podcast called All Up in Us, as you know. And I would appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And thank you.